Have you ever had a manager with absolutely zero survival instincts? My boss almost hurt us all because he thought he knew better. I was sitting at the reception desk on a Tuesday morning when I first noticed this weird smell. It was like rotten eggs mixed with something chemical. Tom from IT came up to my desk holding his nose and asked if I smelled it too. I nodded and immediately picked up the phone to call our manager's office. I told Mr. Garrison we should evacuate the 40-some employees in our office because it smelled like a gas leak. He stormed out of his office like I'd just insulted his mother and planted himself right in front of the main exit. He said construction crews hit some old pipes downstairs and there was nothing to worry about. Then he crossed his arms and raised his voice so everyone in the open floor plan could hear. Nobody leaves this office. We have quarterly reports due today. Anyone who walks out that door is fired. I tried bringing up safety protocol, but he just pointed his finger at me and said if I spoke one more word, I could start updating my resume. So everyone reluctantly went back to work. 20 minutes later, Tom stumbled to the bathroom and we could all hear him throwing up through the thin walls. When he came back, his face was this awful gray color and sweat was dripping down his forehead. He was gripping the walls and cubicle edges just to stay upright. I pulled out my phone to text building maintenance, but nobody answered. And that's when I noticed through the window that everyone from the law firm downstairs had already evacuated to the parking lot. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I dialed 911. Mr. Garrison came out of nowhere and ripped the phone right out of my hand, going on about no outside calls during work hours and how I was already on thin ice. Tom was slumped in his chair looking absolutely miserable and kept mumbling about how he used to work construction and knew a gas leak when he smelled one. Mr. Garrison just rolled his eyes and told him to keep his opinions to himself unless he had a chemistry degree. By now, the smell had gotten so bad my eyes were burning and tearing up. I kept looking through the glass doors at the other floors and they were completely abandoned with all the lights still on, but not a soul in sight. Tom's breathing had turned into this horrible wheezing sound and he was clutching at his chest like he couldn't get enough air. More and more of my coworkers started gathering around my desk in little nervous groups and I could see them stealing glances at the exits and whispering about whether they should make a run for it. That must have been when Mr. Garrison noticed because he marched over and actually locked the main door with his keys, claiming it was to keep out construction dust. We all knew that was complete bull. That's when Tom collapsed, just slid right out of his chair onto the floor with his lips turning blue, and I ran over and dropped to my knees beside him. Tom was dying and we needed to get out now, but Garrison just stood there with his arms crossed, insisting it was a panic attack. Tom was gasping these broken words about not being able to breathe, his eyes wide with panic. I looked from Tom lying there to my coworkers who were frozen in fear, and finally my eyes landed on the fire alarm 20 feet away. I'm sorry, Mr. Garrison, but I won't let you kill us. I sprinted for the alarm and he moved to block me, but I faked left and went right, then shoved him hard out of my way. He went tumbling backwards into his prized potted plant as I grabbed a heavy stapler off the nearest desk and smashed the glass. The alarm started screaming through the building. Everyone rushed for the exits at once, while Garrison was still on the floor yelling about lawsuits and termination and how we'd all be unemployed by tomorrow. Two guys from accounting helped me get Tom up and we half carried him to the emergency stairs. The stairwell reeked of gas so much stronger than upstairs that my head started spinning and we practically fell down 5 flights with Tom's weight between us, but we didn't stop. When we burst into the winter air of the parking lot, Tom started coughing and gasping and color slowly came back to his face while I felt my legs turn to jelly with relief. Fire trucks were already screaming into the parking lot when we got outside and hazmat teams rushed past us into the building while EMTs got Tom onto a stretcher with oxygen. The fire chief announced there was a major gas leak in the basement that could have exploded any minute. Another 10 minutes and any spark could have blown the whole building sky high. Meanwhile, Garrison was in the parking lot still yelling at employees to get back to their desks when the police showed up and arrested him. The CEO arrived shortly after, having been called by building security, and fired Garrison in front of everyone before apologizing to us all. Tom spent 3 days in the hospital but made a full recovery. I got promoted to operations manager and they named the new evacuation policy after me. 6 months later, we heard Garrison got sentenced to 2 years in prison for reckless endangerment.